Good afternoon, I'm Ed Pozzuoli, CEO of Tripp Scott, and with us today is Tim Petrillo. Tim is the CEO of the Restaurant People. Tim, talk a little bit about your group. First, give us a scope of the restaurants in Fort Lauderdale that you're involved with.
Okay, so we have 14 operations in Fort Lauderdale. We have S3, Boatyard, Township, YOLO, to name a few.
All my favorite.
Yeah, and we have 45 total. We have a company called Shrimp Basket, which is in 5 different states and has a footprint of 12 in Florida.
Wow. And you just served, and been on the governor's reopening committee. And before I get to that piece, because that really is kind of like, what do we go to next?
Right.
How has this pandemic impacted your restaurants?
Significantly. All but 10 are closed. We have 10 doing takeout and to-go business, but everything else has been shut down.
And from an employment standpoint, the waiters and the...
Oh yeah, so that's the unfortunate thing, was we had to lay off over 700 people. We still have 200 still on our payroll, but we had to furlough 700.
But that's a shame. So how do you see this thing playing out now? You're on the governor's reopening, and how do restaurants get reopened and make people comfortable coming back?
Well, again, I think it's the sanitation standards and cleanliness standards and making people feel safe, that they're going to be free of any risk of getting the virus. So that's our main focus, is how do we make sure our guests and employees feel safe as we reopen.
And how do you do that with respect to social distancing inside?
So we're doing dividers between our booths. We're making sure that at the bars we're keeping the social distancing principles there. Every other booth will be shut off, and every other table. So that's the easy part. The tough part is the pinch points in the restaurants, the greeter stand, the wait areas, things like that. So we're going to have staff on to make sure extra staff on to make sure we're patrolling that properly.
Right, and assuming the governor came out yesterday with his plan, and now we have South Florida kind of a couple weeks behind that. So how did we get people back? I mean, there's a ton of people on Los Olas walking up and down because, frankly, they don't want to be shut in their houses all day. And so there is a pent-up demand to go to restaurants. When do you see that happening, and how do we best ease into that as we go into the summer?
Well, I think they're going to open up with similar restrictions as we shut down. I do believe there's, call it, 2 different camps. There's a camp of people who just want to get out and aren't so consumed by the risk of getting COVID. And there's people who are, highly adverse, whether they have underlying conditions or they're older or whatnot, that are highly sensitive to that. So I think the people who aren't so concerned will be out. We're already seeing that, like you said, up and down Los Olas Boulevard. And then as data comes out with containment of the spread, I think the other people will start to get more comfortable and feel safer, and they'll come out following that.
And people still have to follow social distancing, and obviously you made some adjustments to the restaurants and whatnot. But so some people say this is never going to be the same again. I mean, do you view it that way? I mean, looking into the future a little bit.
I think people have short memories, and a year and a half, 2 years after proper testing, containment, vaccines, those types of things come out, people will get much more back to their normal life and how they go in and use restaurants.
The good news for you, at least with S3 and YOLO and even the Boathouse, those restaurants have outdoor.
Yeah, outdoor patios.
And those, based on what the governor said, those can be treated slightly differently.
That's correct. But the unfortunate thing is we're going into summer, and how many people enjoy sitting out at 95-degree heat outside?
Right.
I think that everyone has to understand that we are making sure that our employees are not sick. If they are, there's a checklist of what we're doing. Each shift, there's a checklist, of questionnaire of how they're feeling. They get their temperatures taken prior to opening, and there's a log. So we're doing everything from that standpoint to make sure we ensure the safety of our guests and employees. And we are having all of our restaurants have been sanitized. Now our cleaning procedures have been significantly improved. So these types of measures.
You were pretty top end there anyway.
No, we were. I mean, that's one of our pillars that we pride ourselves on. So we've taken that to a whole new level. And again, I think the market is going to dictate what is not needed, but necessary for people to feel safe.
So how do you see the future for everybody? I mean, how do you see the future of your restaurant group? And how do you see that?
I see that once people get the confidence to go back out, they'll start enjoying themselves like they did before, and I think it's going to come back. But there is a point. I mean, just in the last 30 days, the way people are interacting is totally different than it was. Okay, you're seeing people now starting to peek their head out. Okay, it's okay to get out. You see in public spaces along the beach, it's packed with people riding bikes and walking,
right.
and so I think people's confidence will come back, and that'll drive a lot of our business.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and always, please come back and give us an update.
Yeah, I will for sure.
In a little while, and I would say to everybody listening, this is an important thing to, when these businesses open up, when these restaurants open up, Tim's a top notch, and so I would encourage everybody to go ahead and make sure that our local restaurants and those who committed so much to this community are rewarded.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
All right.